You're listening to the Archaeology Podcast Network.
This is the CRM Archaeology Podcast. It's the show where we pull back the veil of cultural resources management, archaeology, and discuss the issues that everyone is concerned about. Welcome to the podcast. Hello and welcome to the CRM Archaeology Podcast, episode 288 for May 15th, 2024. I'm your host, Chris Webster. On today's show, we talk about who we would hire using some pretty good fake resumes that Doug put together. So it's time to get your own resume or CV updated because the CRM Archaeology Podcast starts right now. Hey everybody, just before we start segment one, take a look at the show notes for this podcast over at www.arcpodnet.com/CRMArcPodcast, or just take a look down at your show notes because there are some fake resumes that Doug put together and the PDFs for those are linked here in the show notes. So take a look at those, please. If you want to follow along with what Doug put together, they're pretty good. All right, on to the show. All right, welcome to the podcast, everyone. Joining me today is Heather in Southern California.
Hi, everybody.
Andrew in Southern California.
Hey everyone, how's it going?
And Doug in Scotland.
Hey everyone.
And I'm calling in from rainy Florence, Oregon, where the rain never stops here in the springtime. So it's beautiful, it's cozy, and I kind of love it because we're always in hot and dry areas. But that being said, we're going to quickly throw this over to Doug because we've got an interesting show format today, and it's going to take a little bit of coordination, and we want to make sure we get it right. So, Doug, I'm going to throw it over to you. And in the meantime, Andrew and I are going to go ahead and mute so we can't hear what's going on. Here you go.
All right, guys, we're doing this podcast a little bit different. We're taking you through the process of what happens when you sort of send your resume in. So at the beginning, we're going to have different podcast hosts are going to sort of take these resumes. I guess I have to sort of somewhat eat my words from a couple of months ago where I said all those AI chat things are completely useless. I mean, they're completely useless for normal work, but I have used them to do up some fake resumes, which was really great to be able to put in a bunch of random stuff quite quickly. And we're basically going to go through this process. This first segment is going to be those first impressions. So what's happened is projects come in. You've had 100 resumes. You're looking at the project's going to be in California just because, everyone else is based in California or California adjacent or have worked there. It's a year-long project. 100 resumes have come in. And you need to do that first sort of sort, that look where you're just flipping through the resumes and putting, because you can't read through, 100 resumes in great detail. And we're going to go through that process of the flip and give you guys sort of an insight of how it happens and how different people handle it. So first up I have is Heather. And she's going to take us through the first 3 resumes and just give us those first impressions and describe what she's seeing. And hopefully this will be of value to people who are listening, sort of see how this process works. Basically, maybe give you some ideas, and we'll talk in later segments about some advice as well. So I think that is Andrew and Chris are out. And Heather, you're still here, right?
Hey, I'm here. And I got about 45 seconds to a minute for each one, right?
Yeah, because I mean, you have 100. You have 100, and you can't really spend more than an hour and a half going through them. So,
got it.
On your marks, get set. Give me resume A. Go.
Resume A. Nora. I don't really like the name Nora, but okay. All right. So PhD, MA, looks like interesting. There was some lapse in between. So maybe, let's see. Okay. Did she work in between the lapse? Okay. She is regional. She's done California and Germany. She has some field and laboratory experience. Her PhD, San Diego, in anthropology. So let's see. Yeah, she's pretty well-rounded. I like the fact that she's 3 pages. She's limited it to 3 pages as professional. Okay, I'll give her a chance. All right. She's going into the yes pile.
Okay, so that's resume A done. All right, Heather, let's go with B.
Okay, here we go. Samuel. Okay, Samuel has, it's always nice when they have education first, to me. But That's okay. All right. Looking for an objective statement, which I don't really, and that's it. Wow. Okay. So they have very minimal experience, or they're only listing minimal experience, probably because they feel that they are supposed to keep this at a minute, or I mean, sorry, at one page. I'm supposed to keep it at a minute. His skills: research, time management, excavation, critical thinking, field work, critical thinking. I don't personally. I wouldn't include critical thinking just because everybody's idea of critical thinking is not the others.
All right, Heather, you're gonna call it? Would you put him in the yes or no pile?
He's a maybe. He's got some experience. He's a maybe.
Who's a maybe?
Nora's a yes. Okay, so I'm pulling up the next.
All right.
Okay. Eberhard for Reed. Okay. He has a master's in science, archaeology specific. His thesis is GIS tracking, archaeological field work in North Florida. Okay, so let's see. Does he have experience in California? He's got some experience in Arizona, in Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico. None in California, but he's got 3 publications. Okay. One, interesting, is, okay, so it's interesting. His master's is in archaeology at University of Florida, but it looks like his thesis is on shell middens, or he has a paper on shell middens along the California coastline. But there's nothing else that represents a California experience. This one makes me a little like, I would call him, but I would have some questions because I'm wondering if this is really legit.
All right. Well, we're gonna call it for there. So that's your 3. Yep. Interesting enough, and that his top work experience actually mentions California. Site recording in Arizona,
California. There it is. I went right past.
I know, one. But that is, I mean, that's the thing when you're doing those quick 45 seconds impressions,
which I don't do, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
that's why I don't like those. Okay,
cool. All right, thanks so much, Heather. Yep, sure. And we'll bring in Andrew.
All right, I'm back.
Excellent. We had it blew through as Heather made it through the first 3. So yeah, you're starting out on resume D there.
Okay,
Andrew. Again, it's you've got 100 resumes come in. It's a project. It's about a year-long project in California. You're looking at some survey, excavation,
right?
And yeah, if you want to unbox resume D, describe it as you go and your impressions.
Okay.
I'll tell you when time's up.
Okay, so resume D, I just opened it. I'm looking at it for the first time. So this resume is one that's really, really colorful and over the top. I don't like these because it feels unprofessional to me. It feels like, look at me, I'm the younger generation. I'm fresh and energetic. And it's like, no. I need you to be like professional, straightforward. What I see here is like there's a photo of the person on the left-hand side, which I would never do that. I would not put a photo of yourself. And also the font is kind of all over the place. It's different fonts. It's the showy, resume. And I've seen things like this before. And this always is just like an immediate red flag in the first moment. I'm like, oh, like honestly, when I see this, I'm like, damn it. Like I want to give them a call before they turn it in and be like, dude, don't do this, so. All
right, well, Andrew, you're at a minute. So
okay.
Is it a yes or a no for you? Would you put this in the yes pile or no pile?
This is initially at least in the middle pile or going towards the no. It also looks like overall the person doesn't have too much experience. Yeah. They have experience that's not local. It feels like a young person just trying. It's a no for a serious job.
Okay. All right. Resume E then, man.
All right.
Give us your thoughts.
Let's check this out. Okay. So this is another one again with a photo where I'm like, don't do that. And there's sort of a cloud motif on the top of it. Again, it's too showy. I want stuff like, hey man, just give me Times New Roman and list what you do. Let's see. This is someone, though, who has field work, like 8 years or something of experience. This is good. Just cruising through it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So
Is it a yes or a no?
this is initially in the yes pile. And a yes pile with a little bit of a question mark in my mind of why doesn't this person know how to make a more professional resume?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, I'll take you out then, Andrew, and
Okay.
we'll bring Chris in for the sort of quick reviews of the last two.
Cool.
I'm here.
Thanks so much. Brilliant. All right, Chris, you have the last two. So it's starting with resume F and resume G. Again, project in California, you've got 100 resumes. You only got about a minute to look through it. It's a excavation survey sort of project. Pick your location in California if you want. And yeah, unbox the first resume there. Give me your impressions and whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got the first one open here. And first off, the name just says Johnson, no first name or anything else. So that's almost an instant fail for me. Let's see. Just looking at the Bachelor of Arts. Okay, that's no big deal. Anthropology. That's pretty common. It does say University of California, but it doesn't say where because I don't think there is a University of California. It's University of California at somewhere, right? Is there a University of California? I don't even know.
It's a University of California system.
I guess so, but that's not very specific, is it? Because they're very different. Let's see. 2019 to present, worked for the same company. Field crew member, Dig Deep Archaeology. The year before that, internship, first aid, OSHA 30, certified archaeological field technician. Oh, fancy. Advanced GIS training certificate. I mean,
Yep, you got a minute. Would you put this person in the yes pile, the maybe pile, the no pile?
I'd put him in the maybe pile for sure. Yeah.
Maybe pile. Brilliant.
Yeah. All right. Sophia Martinez is the second one. Experience here. Field school, research department assistant. So this is a brand new person. No real field experience. That seems paid right off the bat here, which is not a big deal. Projects, independent research project, professional memberships. Yep. She belongs to, well, she went to RPA as a student affiliate. That's nice. Single page resume. I wouldn't expect too much more off of a person with really no experience, although you can flesh these things out a little bit. I would put old Sophia here probably in the maybe pile. It would depend on the size of my project and the number of people I really needed, because if I have a lot of people, then there's room for somebody who can use the training. If there's fewer people, then there's less room for people who need training. So, but I'd put Sophia in the maybe pile as well.
Okay. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. I think we'll end the segment now and we'll come back for segment 2 when all the hosts have a look at all the resumes and choose who they want to choose.
Welcome back to the CRM ARC podcast, episode 288. And on this segment of our experimental hiring show, it's going to be my turn to go first. And Doug, what am I doing?
Yeah, so this project you're on is part of a big federal funding for infrastructure, and they're requiring contractors to at least have a certain number of trainees or hires, apprenticeships, whatever you want to call it. And it's been passed down. You have to choose 2 people to be, your field techs, and then one person as sort of a trainee you're bringing on board and going to be training. You have all those resumes. You've had a couple of minutes to look through them. Who are you choosing out of these resumes to be on your project?
The first 2 that were kind of easy for me were, first off, Johnson. I immediately thought fail just because I didn't know just from looking at it what their first name was. But down in the email here, I still don't know what their first name is. Male, female, doesn't really matter, I guess, in the end. But I like the experience. I like the field crew member experience. I like the key skills. Education is basically just a Bachelor of Arts in Anthropology from somewhere in California. But I still like the experience and the job aspects behind it. So despite the fact that I don't know who this person is, like I said, that really shouldn't matter. We really ought to just take names off of resumes, to be honest with you, because what is the difference who the person is? It probably adds bias to it, to be honest with you. So I like that person just from their skills. And as far as a trainee goes, I like Isabella Garcia only because she did an archaeological field school in Tanzania. And I feel like we'd have a lot to talk about because I also did an archaeological field school in Tanzania. And it was fun and entertaining. And I think we'd have, like I said, a lot to talk about. So if I've got to hire somebody who's a trainee, it doesn't really matter so much what their experience is. I mean, it does a little bit, but field schools are field schools and you never know really what they're going to get in a field school. So if you're just bringing them on to train them, as long as they have a good attitude and they want to come in and do stuff, and anybody who's gone to Africa and lived through it has got to have half a decent attitude. So I only didn't pick Sophia Martinez because she's also inexperienced and I already picked somebody. So because that was one of the ones I read in my segment, and, you know, I just didn't pick her because I had already picked a trainee. Nora Carroll, she's got a PhD. I'm sorry. I didn't pick her for a small project where I need field techs because she's got a PhD. I feel like I'm sorry to say this and be one of those cliches, but she's overqualified. She needs to be applying for a different job because she's not going to be happy with that job. Let's see. Samuel Thomas. I just don't like Samuel Thomas's resume. I can't even get through it. It's poorly formatted and I don't even understand it. So Sam's out. Eberhard Farid. Again, he's got a master's in archaeology, master of science in archaeology, which I like better than a master of arts because I also have a master of science. Although University of North Carolina, that's an instant fail. Oh, my wife's got her headphones in. She can't hear me. No, that's not bad. Actually, I think Eberhard Farid would probably be my next hire, only because Jane or James Smith has spelling errors, and I just can't abide by spelling errors in your own name on your resume. That's an instant fail for me. If you didn't see that or you didn't have somebody check that, then who knows what else you didn't have checked or seen. So I'm going to go with Eberhard. Let's see if I can organize these. And Isabella and Mr. or Mrs. Johnson. Them Johnson.
Wow, Chris, man, you've given like so much to discuss, man. Like throwing people under the bus for a PhD, hiring people because they went to a field school in Tanzania. Oh,
hey,
man.
You didn't give me a lot to go on.
This is what you get, though, man. When you're doing hiring,
yeah,
you only have a piece of paper, and that's the only information that's given to you.
I hear you.
This is gold. I mean, you've pretty much. Sorry, Chris. You played into all my stereotypes of what happens in hiring, which is
100%.
Yeah, randomness there. Cool, Chris. I'm gonna take you out now, and let's call in Andrew and see who he has. We'll see if he has a similar hate of PhDs as that you do.
I doubt it.
Or a love of Tanzania like you do. We'll see. Hopefully he comes in and we'll see this hiring process and what happens.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, you're here.
I'm ready to roll.
We've had an exciting first segment with Chris, and we'll go to you, Andrew.
Cool.
All right, Andrew, I think I explained it. I think you were still on when you heard you need to choose at least one trainee.
Right.
Big infrastructure project coming down, government requirements for contractors to win it. They have to have trainees. Archaeology's been assigned one.
Yeah.
You've got to choose 3 people. So two normal field techs and a trainee.
2 normal and a trainee.
Yeah.
All right.
Who have you gone with?
Okay, so for me, the trainee was the easier one. So the trainee, I picked G, and this was obviously a student. But what I liked about it is they were honest. They were the resume was honest. Hey, I'm a student. This is my experience. It's not a lot, but it's honest. It's straightforward, and it's professional. So I'm going with G for the student. Now, in terms of the top 2, that's a bit tougher. I think that resume C was probably the star of the show for me. And what's so funny is, like, as we talk, I get a little worried because I'm like, oh my God, I didn't have enough time to go through these. What if I'm screwing up? But what I looked for in these, of course, because we're doing this big project, is somebody with like a deep skill set, somebody who has kind of years under their belt. So C is definitely in. Now for the coveted last.
That's Eberhard Farid, right? And then the other
I
one
believe, yes.
Yeah, another one you chose was Sophia Martinez for the
Yes.
student or the trainee. Yeah.
That is correct. And then, so the last one is tough. It really was actually between three, which was A, B, and E. A was Nora Carroll. Nora Carroll has deep experience, like been around for a really long time. There's no real statement of purpose, but I liked Nora's, except if there was like a cover letter or cover sheet, because I need to know like what they're doing. I just see like their experience, but no focus of like, here's why I want this job. I thought B was good too. That's Samuel Thomas, although oddly short. His resume was oddly short. It's like it weirdly kind of cuts off. And then also E, who is James Smith. And I think, this is tough. Actually this final spot to me, I think it's either between A and E. In reality, I would look further under each of them. Just on the surface, I think I give it to E. I give it to James Smith because she's got a deep set of skills and has already been a senior archaeologist. So I thought that was pretty important. So that's where I'm going.
Really? You went with someone who had a picture in there with clouds as well.
Yes. And see, to pin me down, what's funny in reality, it's like if it was a real job, maybe I've already done this wrong, because that is such a red flag at the same moment. And again, I love this thought experiment because this is a person with really good skill sets and stuff, but did a messed up resume. So that's what held me between sort of B and A. Again, in reality, if A had told me a little bit more about themselves, I'd go with A. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm C with then sort of A, B depending, and then G for the student to me was an easy choice.
I think this is an interesting sort of how this has come about for you, because essentially you almost been that person on the on that first sift.
Yes.
And I think it really does show, but you came back, and once you actually had a deeper look, you were basically like, oh, actually they probably are the most, or one of the most experienced people there.
Right.
And one you liked.
Yeah.
But I think that really shows though what can happen when you're putting in for a resume.
It totally does. And in my experience too, what's going to happen is what I would do is I'd bring these people in, I'd bring, what was it? I think it was actually A and E. I think I said it wrong at one point. A and E were the two I was going to fight between. I'd bring them both in, have a interview with them, and I'd know in like 5 seconds. You know what I mean? It'd be like one of them would be better than the other.
Is this back to your whole, you can bro out with the person?
Yeah, I wouldn't. No, it's a professionalism aspect. It's when they come in, do they know what's going on? Do I ask them questions and they come back at me with reasonable answers? That's really what it is. The bro out thing was about college professors in, oh my God, they're going to have a office next to you for the next 30 years.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, Andrew, I'll tell you this.
I'm here.
Excellent, Heather. It's been interesting. Chris and Andrew have picked one and the same, but two of the other ones are different. So we're going to have an interesting third segment. But okay. Andrew, if you want to jump out.
So how many are we picking?
We've got two field techs and one trainee because, federal contract, they're forcing all the contractors to do some training stuff, build up the sector, different sectors, construction, archaeology has been assigned one. You have to choose at least one trainee. Okay. And two field techs. And so, Heather.
One lead, two. We need like a crew lead, correct?
You have a crew lead, so you don't need...
Oh, I don't need a crew lead?
No, you just need two techs. I take it you were looking at someone, you were like, this person's going to be my lead?
Yeah, I had a lead. But okay, that's okay. That's all right.
No, I mean, does it change it though? Would you not pick that lead person to be a tech?
It depends on the resume, because that person needs to take direction, understand that the other person is going to be the lead and they're going to have to stand down. They can contribute, but they have to take leadership from somebody else.
Who is this person? Which resume did you choose for this person or for this role?
Eberhard.
Eberhard. Okay.
I had him as a crew lead. Okay. So I'm going to go backwards.
Okay.
if we are going to have a trainee, and the purpose of the trainee is to bring somebody in and train them in the ways regionally and in archaeology in general, Isabella and Sophia, they are, neck and neck, really. The only difference between the two is one has had experience in California, their field school or field experience was in California, and Isabella's is in Tanzania. So for that sake, I'm going to actually pick Isabella, because if the purpose here for having an intern is not to benefit the company, it's to benefit the intern. I'm going to give Isabella an opportunity to have experience in California to build her resume.
Okay.
And then for crew lead, I'm going to have Samuel and Johnson.
Okay. Why those two?
So Samuel has some management. He has minimal experience, but he's a technician. He has some experience. And I like to graduate crews. So I'd like to see people managing, or not managing, but helping others, putting people in positions where, even though they're not the leader, as long as they can take direction, that they can help other people that may have less. So it's almost like a staggered experience. If I have that opportunity, I like to do that. So I'm always looking for a stratified crew in order for everyone to be learning. Johnson has a decent amount of experience. He has 6 years experience. He has a BA for those that don't have access to the resume. Samuel is MA. He has a little bit of management, a little bit of experience. And I think let's give him an opportunity. I'm not picking Nora. She makes me nervous. I think, honestly, this is just a pet peeve, and I might be totally off base. I cannot stand it when people put travel awards on their professional resume. It doesn't make a difference to me. And to me, it gives me this idea that they think they're more important than they are. So don't do that. I mean, well, for me personally, I don't like those. She has 15 years of experience. She's never had a full-time job, 15 years experience in CRM. She has a PhD. I don't know if she's going to be able to take direction very well. So especially now that I know she can't be a lead, I'm not that I would automatically put her as a lead, but she's out. She was out right away for me. Jamie, her MA is Maya. No offense to Maya in archaeologist. Her experience, she has 8 years in CRM, but I haven't seen like an increase in what she's done with her career. I always wonder, and some people make that choice. So maybe that would be a conversation I would have with her for the interview before I make a selection. But I'd like to know why she's been working for 8 years. I would ask the same thing for Nora. Is this a conscious decision? I don't want a full-time job, or I've really been trying to get a full-time job. There's a lot of movement back and forth on her resume that makes me a little nervous. That's it.
Excellent. All right. Let's end this segment, and we'll jump into the third segment where all the different hosts, you guys, well, I won't spoil it for you, but we'll bring it back in, and yeah, we'll see you in the third segment.
Welcome back to the Sierra Mark Podcast, episode 288. And in this segment, Doug, how did we do? What's the results?
Yeah, pretty much what I kind of expected, and what I'm pretty sure everyone should sort of take away from this exercise is, yeah, there was one candidate you guys all chose, but beyond that, it was all over the place. You guys' reasoning is completely different. And now we're going to bring it over with, what happens when it's a group decision. When, people have to go through it and you have to make a group decision, and that process, because this happens sometimes as well. It's not always just a single person doing the hiring. And yeah, you guys are about to see how that sort of negotiates and how that works out, and how some people might get hired over others. So just to let everyone know, you guys all chose Eberhard as at least one of the techs, though Heather had him as sort of like a crew chief level. And Heather, would you actually still keep him on?
I could see that
as a field tech.
I had, I may have, if I had, followed the instructions properly. But I had him down where I thought he would be a good career lead. So maybe I would. I don't know. I still think he has. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be between him and Samuel.
Yeah. All right. See, the other two did not choose Samuel at all, but we won't get into that quite yet.
There's a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's do it because you guys all, well, not quite all chose different because there's only two choices, but there was Sophia and Isabel for the sort of trainee level
Yeah.
one, and you guys have chosen different ones. If I throw it through and you guys just do quickly explanation of why you chose them, and then let's debate and see who we'd actually pick. Andrew, who'd you choose for the trainee and why?
I chose Sophia because her resume I felt was more honest and it did not have a photo. I hate it when people include a photo. It's so unprofessional, right? So, and her first line is like energetic and motivated student with a keen interest in archaeology. That's what I want to hear. It's straightforward. You know, there's just no BS in this. It feels like, here's my experience. It's not much, but I'm eager to do more. I like it.
All right.
Yeah.
I think you chose the same. Did you not?
First off, if you didn't have an interest in archaeology, why would you be doing this? So that seems obvious and just like fluff and a waste of time to put on paper. But I chose
Yep.
since the exercise was to pick somebody who was a trainee. I didn't really care about what was on their resume. I thought they were both formatted well. I don't care about pictures because in the era of social media, I'm probably going to know what you look like anyway, right? So I don't really care about that. And if I'm going to look you up on social media, I'm going to want to be able to find the right person. And chances are lining you up by picture is going to be helpful because likely there's lots of Isabella Garcias and lots of Sophia Martinez's, but I chose Isabella because ultimately, again, they're both trainees and we're going to train both of them. But Isabella went to field school in Tanzania, as did I. And I would want to talk to her about that. I think it'd be interesting. I think it'd be entertaining. If you can't chill out and talk to somebody during break time about something cool, then what the hell's the point?
Right. All right, that's cool.
Heather, I think you chose Isabel as well, right?
I did. I chose Isabella. Now, I get it. If either one had experience, a few years behind them, I also would not like the pictures and all the fluffiness and all that kind of stuff. So I agree with Andrew and Chris because he mentioned that too. But I do with brand new people. I figure they don't know. They haven't been told. They need to be told, and I would tell them. When I meet them, I will say, listen, don't do that on your resume, but I'm not going to hold it against them. I pick Isabella because if I'm going to, the purpose of having an intern is for the benefit of them, not the company. So I'm not looking at that aspect. What I'm looking at is who's going to be able to help the most. And is there any major red flags that would discount somebody? So there's no major red flags to me. I picked Isabella because she went to Tanzania. She needs to build her resume and have some California or U.S. experience. And so to benefit her, since Sophia already has the California experience, I gave it to Isabella.
Right.
Andrew, are you convinced to make the change, or are you going to double down on?
I'm doubling down.
Okay. You lose anyway.
Although I hear the argument, it's totally fine. I think this is great. If we chose, Isabella, I wouldn't be like, I'm leaving this company today. It completely understandable. But I would just double down because I just chose the flip side of the same coin, meaning I saw that Sophia had local experience. So I was like, oh, she's already interested in this. She already has a bit of a leg up. This will be awesome. So I'm like the opposite of Chris. I'm like, oh, since you have this local stuff, like you've already shown you have interest in it and you can complete it. So you won't drop out after 4 days.
That's fair.
Is anyone convinced to change their mind?
No,
but the vote wins and the other person gets it.
I'm only not convinced because I know we already won, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, true.
You guys, and Andrew, you weren't slightly put off by Sophia's, like, she's only looking to do stuff to further her academic studies, not to do a career in CRM?
I didn't notice that. I would, in reality, kind of like Heather said at the beginning, I would have gone through this more, closely. I was flying through it to try and...
Yeah, you miss things.
Yeah.
Very quick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. And in reality, again, I love doing this because this is exactly what happens. I've had 1,000 meetings like this, hiring people where we talk back and forth and we argue back and forth, so this is great.
Well, I mean, it's great for Isabel, not so much Sophia.
Sorry, Sophia. Next time.
She gets voted out,
island.
And Andrew is now going to quit the company because obviously they can't pick out talent.
Exactly. They're in a death spiral.
Can we nix people and then get it down to, or are we just going to say who we picked and we
Also,
did
here's
it out that
yeah.
way.
Now here's the hard part is because you guys. So yeah, there was obviously pretty easy because there was just 2 trainees. You all chose Eberhardt, which is funny. We're gonna have a conversation at the end about that. But yeah, you guys all kind of went with different people. We'll go in reverse. Heather, who would be your choice for that third last position?
Hi, Johnson. Yeah. Hi, Johnson.
And your second one, because it was one also as people didn't choose was what was it? B,
Samuel.
wasn't it? Samuel. Yeah, and because Chris really hated Samuel. What did you like about Samuel?
Oh boy, now
I didn't hate Samuel. I just didn't like his resume.
Yeah, I mean his resume. I had Johnson. I actually had Johnson and Jamie. Where I don't think I would have selected Eberhard. I really don't, just because. Yeah, I don't know. I'm stuck now. Maybe because I didn't follow the directions. But for me, Johnson's a definite. He's in. Samuel, it would be between Samuel and probably Eberhard, I guess, for my other 2. Jamie and Nora are out.
All right.
Huh.
I actually misread my notes, so I never had Jamie. It was Samuel and Johnson, and then I guess maybe I would switch Eberhard out for Samuel, but I'm keeping Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we'll just because on timeline we'll keep Eberhard because everyone else voted.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Chris, who did you have?
I had Johnson, and Johnson, I don't know, is Heather. You keep saying he, which but we don't know what Johnson is because Johnson doesn't have a first name, right? So,
that's true.
And I was kind of making the point in my segment was, maybe we should take names off of CVs and resumes because it does kind of put in a little bit of bias there to begin with. But then how do you do your email address? I don't know. It was a whole confusing thing. But anyway,
I don't really care if somebody's male or female, honestly, but yeah.
Well, no, but some people do, and they're biased by that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's not even male or female. Yeah. It's often just like ethnicity as well, right? I mean, some people have these biases that they don't even understand are in their brains, and they may not hire somebody because of whatever crazy reason, right? But I didn't pick Sam or Jane, not Jamie, because she spelled her freaking name wrong, right? If you look at her email address, it's Jane Smith, not James Smith or Jamie. That's what I thought at first. So that was out immediately for me if you can't spell your name right or have that double checked. Yeah. And then Sam, I didn't even get through his resume because I don't understand it. Like I was looking at it and it's poorly formatted. And I was just like, this is too confusing for my eyes to just like land on something. So I'm not even going to read it. So even though he may have a lot of good experience, it's weird. This whole bucket thing, like his experience looks like a shovel test profile and I just can't understand it.
So Jamie, yeah, I had Jamie out too because I didn't notice the name misspelling, but I did notice California spelled wrong, Berkeley, and there's multiple misspellings throughout. Yeah.
So that was out. Nora, I didn't pick because, well, she's got a PhD and I have a small crew and she's not looking for a high enough position, to be honest with you. This is not a position that would suit her skill levels if she's there. And I can't afford to pay her what she's looking for. Now, if she pleaded her case and said, listen, I don't care, I just need a job, then, whatever. Also, she works for Elon Musk. So there's that because her email is x@x.com. So. But no, I picked Johnson because I liked the experience. I think that the resume looks decent, and there you go.
In fact, I'd be hard pressed to hire Nora for anything. She'd have to really wow me on an interview. I don't like her resume at all. I think it's high-handed. I think it's stuffy. I think she thinks a lot of herself because she has a PhD, yet she's never had a full-time position. She hops all over the place. She's 15 years in the business and she still doesn't have a job. Yeah, to me, those
stuff in Berlin.
Major red flags.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Andrew.
All right. Yeah. So this is the one where I will blow with the wind a little bit. I had a tough time picking a clear second. I think it's cool that we all picked Eberhard. To me, that was easy. Like Eberhard was the shoe-in one. And I was just thinking him as 2 positions with archaeologists with some experience. And I ultimately landed on, I was, shaky, but I landed on misspelled Jane Smith. I didn't notice that many of the misspellings until kind of like right as I was talking. But because She had local experience and kind of deep local experience. I was looking for somebody who had some stuff going back, not just 2 years. Like, and it seemed like she had been in it the whole time and moving up position wise in the last, whatever it is, 6 years or 8 years. So I was like, that looks really good. So, but as I said before, in reality, it's like I'd have 2 or 3 people come in and I'd interview them and see what's up, because then you could tell in 2 seconds. But I would definitely put her in. I did not. I had Johnson straight out because it's one name. I'm like, are we doing the share thing now? Johnson.
I almost did the same thing.
I'm like, no, you need to put your name on there.
I thought it was weird. So funny. In just a few seconds, it didn't even occur to me just because I was trying to breeze through these.
Right.
Maybe that probably would have made me question.
Right.
But I really wasn't great. I just Jane and Nora were out for sure.
Right.
I like Eberhard just because I think he looks like he's serious. Like he's moving. He's getting a lot of experience, and the stuff that he has is experience that you can tell he's taken initiative. You can see it in his resume. Like he's not just showing up to work. He's taking initiative and asking to do things.
Yeah.
And you can see that in he's moved around. He's a Johnny on the spot. He's willing to move. He's willing to go to different places.
Yeah.
So I think, he also has, it's interesting. Some of, his publications are in different areas. So, he really does move around. And I think to me, again, we're assuming, and you'd learn more in the interview, but it seems like he's trying to build a career.
Right.
He's trying to really, he's taking this very seriously. So
I would have been cool with Nora, which is resume A, Samuel Thomas, which is resume B, or the Jamie Smith one, which was resume E. I would have been cool with any of those 3.
Well,
Jen
I guess
Smith.
to wrap it up, Andrew, are you willing to go with Johnson? Have you been convinced to go there, or is this another you're getting voted out?
I'm not going with Johnson, but I'll go with any of those other guys.
Okay.
Too mysterious. I'm like one name and not that much experience.
I can't get Austin Powers out of my head right now. Johnson.
Yeah.
So I actually you guys all went with Eberhard, and no one was put off by the fact that every single line is a bullet point.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Oh, I don't look at that kind of stuff. That doesn't. But
that's okay. I feel like this is almost my resume. Like it looks like the formatting is very similar. I mean, not every single line is a bullet point. I mean, there's bullets underneath certain things, but
you have to you have to consider who's been telling him what his. I really am, unless the person comes off like Nora does as. Yeah, but I already explained.
That's so funny. Nora doesn't come off like that to me at all. It's just a list of stuff. Yeah. It comes off very neutral to me.
Yeah.
Hold on, guys. Hold on, because this is super funny.
I know.
I can't keep it in any longer. One, Eberhard is Chris. That is Chris's resume. I took the formatting. I changed.
That's hilarious.
I thought it looked familiar.
I changed locations and degrees. But basically, other than names, I changed the names, and then I also it's from Chris's CV. I think I cut off after a couple of jobs. And I didn't include the military stuff because I figured that was too much of a giveaway. But literally, that is that most almost anything other than names is basically Chris's resume.
We love you, Chris. Even when we don't know it's you. We love you.
I know. That's why I said I was attracted to it. I was like, this is great.
That's hilarious.
Oh, it gets funnier, guys. It gets funnier. Nora is Andrews.
Exactly. You think I'm a stuck-up asshole, I guess. I guess you don't even hire me. Whatever. I'll storm out again. I'll storm out 2 times from this meeting.
That's hilarious.
I recognized it in a second, though. I was like, oh, yeah, here it is.
That is hilarious.
Right. In my
you would not. Okay, so if you were doing a CRM, you would not write any resume like this.
No, I would. This is my sort of just basic one that floats around the internet of just sort of hey, here's just all the stuff I did. Because it really is just a list of stuff. It's like,
Right.
Yeah, because
No, this is
on your actual one, Andrew, honors and awards is at the top, right?
oh yeah, yeah. No, it's just a picture of me podcasting. Like that's at the top.
right. Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Oh yeah, actually,
Yeah.
it gets even better because Heather's like, Heather was to say her hard no came when you like listed your travel awards.
Yeah,
She's just like,
that irritates the heck out of me.
but that's typical academic stuff. Like that's the way you put that.
Yes,
Yeah.
but not for
sure.
CRM.
Of course.
And
Not
I
for
just
CRM.
like you have to know your audience.
Yeah, very fair.
Yeah, and Heather, I couldn't find a CV of yours online,
That's
so
funny.
or a
Interesting.
resume, so I couldn't like put yours.
So my
or
scrub
Bill's in.
that guy I hired to scrub my social media or whatever.
It worked.
Works.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice. Where's yours, Doug?
I mean, well, I ran out of time.
Oh,
basically.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna put mine in, and actually, so like Johnson, it was so interesting. We had this conversation. Literally, I did a fake name, and I can't remember what like a fake name generator.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
right.
one of the worst things was actually converting like stuff from like the chat to chat GPT or wherever.
You did a
over
lot of
to-
work, dude.
dude. Like,
Yes,
oh
thank
man,
you.
I also have to say like
A lot of work.
Microsoft templates suck so bad. They use tables, and the formatting goes crazy as soon as you hit second pages. Like it was actually like 8 hours of work to do this.
Aw,
Mainly just
thanks.
struggling with formatting, and I was doing it at the very last minute. And so like that Johnson, I didn't even catch it. It was part of the formatting trying to paste it in.
Yeah.
It didn't paste in their first name.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, again, another mistake on the Jane Smith. It was a different name, but it was too weird of a name. And I just looked at the like fake email. And I quickly typed and I hit M instead of N. So like those were not like
California
purposeful.
spelled wrong. There's others. Yeah.
Well, it's
Anyway.
also coming from Chat GG. So there's things
right.
that I'm sure if you guys had read through everything, there'd be some sentences you're like, that doesn't quite make that much sense.
Yes, true.
Yeah, but yeah. So I mean, it was there. It was enough to get us through the thing. But yeah, I think you guys haven't sort of been there for the first two segments. If I could sum it up for like all the listeners, is like, yeah, you guys were choosing a whole bunch of different reasons. Like Chris was Xing Nora because of a PhD. Heather was Xing Nora because she's Nora's stuck up and just a total jerk.
I just felt like I knew her somehow, and I just like rubbed wrong.
You just had a really bad feeling.
Yeah. Chris was just like instantly for like resume B is just like, I hate the formatting. It's done. This person's dead to me. But Chris also was like, Tanzania, man. He chose the person off of the most random thing of Tanzania. But like, and then it came down to like, literally you guys split on, this person has foreign experience and it'd probably be more helpful. Going back to Heather's, it'd be more helpful for them if they got local experience. And then like, but actually Andrew was like, Sophia has local experience, more dedication. So we should give them the job. I mean, 3 different people, and yeah, other than everyone choosing Chris for some reason. And I don't know, like I had a visceral hate like Chris had with Thomas for the formatting of too many bullet points, Chris. Too many bullet points.
Well,
it works, man. It works.
I do think that this one lesson here to be learned, one of them is if you are an academic and you want to go into CRM, you really do have to rethink your resume.
Yeah.
I do see this a lot. And you need to read the room. You need to know who you're trying to sell yourself to. And you can't swap out a academic resume for it. It just doesn't work. Unless it's a very specific like research archaeologist role. But still, you need to pepper it with some more CRM experience if you haven't.
I think also one other thing is when you guys were doing those basic sifting, like Andrew basically got rid of Jane because he really hated the clouds in the picture. But when he took a further look, I mean, she actually has, I think, the most experience.
She has deep experience.
Yeah, like more experience than maybe even Chris. I have to go back and look at the times and stuff.
But I'm nervous when I see somebody who has a lot of experience with an MA and still never had I guess I'm assuming they haven't had a full-time job.
No, it looked pretty heavy.
Yeah. To me, that always makes me wonder. Like, I mean, if you're going for a job, in this kind of a survey, obviously you don't have a full-time job. So it's either a decision, and that's something that needs to be sussed out during an interview.
Yep.
You got to find out why. Why have they not had a full-time?
Well, I guess, so to sum it up, because I can tell Chris is like getting nervous about like the time on this last segment.
Yeah.
It's if I could leave like any of our listeners with one thing, is like, don't get discouraged if you get a lot of rejections, because you might be being rejected for a lot of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And different choices. And as you saw, if someone different had looked at your resume, you might have gotten the job easily, because you guys all chose almost different people except for Chris. And of course, if I had been able to vote, I would have won. I could have convinced all of you guys to drop Eberhardt just for the formatting. But
Never.
No.
yeah. But then, even then, you guys, there wasn't even consensus, and you run into that, especially when there's panels.
Yeah,
they put 3 people on a panel so that 2 can vote the other one away, basically. And that's how it goes. And you could have actually been in the running. You could have had one person really, really going for you, but unfortunately, the other person happened to have gone to Tanzania, and that's how they got the job. Like complete random stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I sort of want to like send away from people. I think there are things you can do. You guys all didn't quite like some of the formatting on the different CVs. Spelling mistakes obviously are going to hurt you. There's these little things that might eliminate you before you get there, but once you get there, it's a bit random. I think that's the summary. Unless anyone else wants to add anything.
Nope.
No, I think honestly, after this experience, we probably could do another show soon-ish, given the hiring season that we're in right now for the summer field season. That we could probably have a deeper discussion of the do's and don'ts of resumes and things, which we've done in the past. But it's good to have this in this season, so maybe we'll consider this in the future soon. So, with that, thanks, Doug. This was a great topic, and we will see everybody next time. That's it for another episode of the CRM Archaeology Podcast. Links to some of the items mentioned on the show are in the show notes for this podcast, which can be found at www.arcpodnet.com/CRMArcPodcast. Please comment and share anywhere you see the show. If you'd like us to answer a question on a future episode, email us. Use the contact form on the website, or just email chris@archaeologypodcastnetwork.com. Support the show and the network at arcpodnet.com/members. Get some swag and extra content while you're there. Send us show suggestions and interview suggestions. We want this to be a resource for field technicians everywhere, and we want to know what you want to know about. Thanks to everyone for joining me this week. Thanks also for the listeners for tuning in, and we'll see you in the field. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
See you guys next time.
Chris, it really seems like you're just going through the motions on that goodbye. Like, it's really lacking the passion. If I was reading this as a CV statement, I would kind of be like, well, this person doesn't have passion. You're not getting the sift.
And way too many bullet points.
Yeah.
Or Eberhard. I'm sorry, Eberhard.
Doug, you're fired.
My new code name is Nora.
This episode was produced by Chris Webster from his RV traveling the United States, Tristan Boyle in Scotland, DigTech LLC, Culturo Media, and the Archaeology Podcast Network, and was edited by Rachel Roden.
This has been a presentation of the Archaeology Podcast Network. Visit us on the web for show notes and other podcasts at www.arcpodnet.com. Contact us at chris@archaeologypodcastnetwork.com.